Good evening, yogis. My name is Daniel from Daniel Lee Yoga. Thank you all for joining me for practice on this Wednesday evening. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far and are ready to have a really fun class we have planned for today. So this is a 60-minute level 1 Vinyasa Flow class. And with it being level 1, we kind of build off of our fundamental that we started earlier this week on Monday. And this week we're working on inversions. And so a lot on Monday we practice having the opportunity for our head to be below our heart, which is what an inversion is defined, and just bringing some more awareness into the shoulders and really opening up the chest. So we're going to build off that today again and really focus on this shoulder area. So in inversions, when we are inverted, it's really easy to dump into the shoulders and really sacrifice our neck and our shoulders in that way. So we're going to bring some awareness to practice today to try to really create some space here by opening up those shoulder blades and drawing the backs of the shoulders together to create nice space all in this shoulder girdle area. So with it being level 1, if you're a beginner, you're more than welcome. Here, you'll have plenty of modifications along the way in case anything just doesn't gel right with you. And if you're more advanced, again, you'll have lots of opportunities here to ramp things up if you just need a little bit of extra for practice today. But today, it is going to be a very fun class. We'll have lots of opportunities for strength building as well, because that's very important in our inversions as well, our upper body strength. So as far as what we need for today, I have blocks with me, but they're not going to be essential for class today. So if you typically have them, you can keep them nearby. What we will need today is a strap. This is really going to help us get into our shoulders today. So if you do have a strap, I don't even have a yoga strap. This is just a belt that I have that works more than fine. You can use an old shirt, a towel, bathrobe tie, anything like that should work perfect for practice today. Some of you may not need it, but most of us will. If you do have your blocks, just place them to the top of the mat. We may use, or you may use those later depending on what we come into. Now we're going to get started in a cross-legged seated position, so just find a nice, comfortable cross-legged seat. And as you get comfortable, just want to explain the location. We're in a nice jungle waterfall area. This is a little spot I came across. As you can see, I have a magical floating mat here, and as some of you found on Monday, some magical floating cats that might appear as well. They seem to be able to walk and sleep on the water, so we'll see if they make an appearance today. All right, so everyone's coming in a cross-legged seated position. Make sure you're nice and comfortable here. Shins are crossed in the middle of the leg, knees are on top of the feet. Now, if you ever have trouble sitting up in this position, you can always sit up on your blocks if you typically use them. If you have a towel or a pillow, you can sit up on that. If you just want to roll up your mat to give you a little bit of elevation, sometimes having that little raise up will kind of lower the strain in your low back and more allow you to more easily sit here. We'll be here for a couple minutes starting practice, so make sure you're in a nice, comfortable seat. So let's place both palms on the tops of the knees. Let's take a big inhale together. And exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. Now again, we're going to be focusing on the shoulders. Let's go ahead and start warming them up. So let's inhale the arms out to your side and overhead, maybe your palms touch. Exhale, just gently release them down to the side, palms down. Inhale the arms up overhead, palms touch. And exhale, release down to the sides. Inhale the arms up overhead, palms touch. Gently release down to the sides, palms down. Inhale the arms up. It's an opportunity to connect breath to movement as well. And exhale, release the arms down to the sides. We're going to add a little side lean. So now let's inhale the arms up overhead, palms touch. Release your right arm down to the side. And start to stretch and lean over that right side, extending and lengthening that left arm up overhead. Keep both sit bones rooted. Just stay for a breath. And exhale, bring it back up to center. Both arms up. Let's release that left arm down this time. Extend the right arm up. And just side lean over that left side, keeping both sit bones rooted. One more breath here. And inhale both arms back up to center, palms touch. One more time each side. Exhale that right arm down, extend that left arm up. Try to lengthen through both sides of your body while keeping both sit bones rooted. And inhale both arms up, palms touch. Release that left arm down, extend that right arm up overhead. Nice side lean here, extending through both sides of the body. And inhale both arms up. Exhale, release both arms down to your sides. We're now going to add a little twist and a gentle shoulder opener. So inhale both arms up, palms touch. Exhale, turn to your right and release both arms down. Maybe both of them come outside of that right thigh. Let's inhale both arms up, back to center. Switching sides, exhale, release to the left side now. Both arms maybe come outside that left thigh. Inhale both arms up, palms touch. Exhale, twist to that right. Inhale both arms up. And exhale, twist and release to the left. Inhale both arms up to center. Stay up for a moment. We're going to add on to our twist. So let's inhale, lengthen our arms up. Exhale, turn to your right again and release both arms to the outside edge of that right foot. So now, make sure this left arm is to the outside edge of that right thigh. Keep that there for a moment. And now, bring the left arm up. Turn yourself back to center. And then wrap that right arm around that left shoulder. Bring your left arm forward, now palm faces up, and bring that palm up. And you can extend that right arm out to the side, right palm's back. So we just have that right arm nice and straight out to the side, and we're using our left arm to just gently press and just open up this right shoulder a little bit. So just go to your capacity here. Just take an inhale and exhale. Let's come back into the twist we were in. So release, turning onto your side, to your right side. Inhale both arms up, back to center, palms touch. Let's turn and twist to that left side. Exhale, release both arms to that left. Now keep this right arm to the outside edge of that left thigh. Wrap this left arm around. And take your right arm, release it now. Right palm comes up, bend that right elbow, and then release that left palm back. So again, this left arm is straight out to the side, left palm back, and you're gently using that right arm to, again, just start to open this up a little bit. Just avoid any pain here. We're just having a gentle stretch, gentle opening here. Stay for one more breath. And exhale. Gently come back into your twist, turning to your left, both arms outside. Inhale back to center, both arms up. And release both hands, this time down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right, we're coming into one of my favorite poses to do with the arms, our Gomukhasana arms. Before we come into it, let's switch which foot is in front. So remember which leg is in front. We're still going to stay seated. Extend your legs out and let's switch it up. Try to even out both sides. A lot of times this side, our least habitual side, can feel a little different, feel a little uncomfortable. So let's make sure we balance out. So you're going to take your strap. We're coming into Gomukhasana arms, face of a cow. Let's start by putting the strap around your left shoulder to start. So the strap is around that left shoulder. Now begin by extending that left arm out to the side, externally rotating from the shoulder socket so the arm rotates out, the thumb comes back, and the palm faces up. Now raise that left arm up. And now, I just want you to take this right hand, this right palm, and see if you can wrap that arm, that tricep forward and in. So we're like firming that thigh, that upper arm in. This is really going to reinforce that external rotation. So that left palm should be facing that side now. So once you have that, you can release this right arm down, bend that left elbow, grab the strap behind you. Now, try not to let this elbow flare out, so you're still trying to hold that elbow in here. Take your right arm now, out to the side, palm faces forward, And now we're going to internally rotate, so the opposite way. So now the thumb comes down, the palm faces back. We're going to bend that left elbow behind our back. So now the back of the left hand comes to the low back. Maybe we grab that strap. So I'll turn just so you can see. So now top arm grabs that strap, bottom arm grabs the strap. Maybe start to walk those fingertips up, but don't worry about getting too close. Maybe you don't need the strap and you can bring your fingertips. Either way, wherever you are, keep hugging that top elbow in and up and that bottom elbow in and down. Just play with it for a moment. Just stay here for a couple breaths. Chances are your chest is puffing forward, so see if you can rock your pelvis back and breathe into those back ribs to create a nice long spine here. Just stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release the strap. Release the arms out to the sides and release down. Let's place the strap to the other side. So, placing around our right shoulder this time, extending that right arm out, externally rotating so that the thumb comes back, the palm faces up. Bring that right arm up. Again, use this left arm to try and wrap. It just helps to reinforce. Wrap this tricep, firm this upper arm in so that that right palm faces to the side. Now, once you have that, release that and bend that right elbow to grab the strap. Left arm comes out to the side. Internally rotate opposite way. The left palm faces back. Bend that left elbow. Back of the left hand comes to the low back. And then you grab your strap there again. Once you grab the strap, you can try to walk your hands a little closer together, or you can stay right where you are. And again, maybe your fingertips touch and you can clasp there. But either way, I really want you to focus on, again, firming that upper arm in, trying to draw that top right elbow up, draw the bottom left elbow down. Fingers are coming away from each other, drawing the elbows away. Stay for one more breath. Maybe breathe into those back ribs, lifting your chest up. And gently release that strap. Just place the strap off to the side. We'll come back to that later. And now, one more exercise while we're here. So, make sure you're still in a nice, comfortable seated position. We want to work on our hand clasping. So, one of the more advanced inversions that we'll be working towards on Friday is our headstand and different headstand variations. And in order to work towards that, we're going to be working through other poses with our hands down and our forearms on the ground. So what's important when we clasp our fingers is we're going to work on this now because it's important to kind of get this clasp right. So I'm going to come a little bit closer to the camera so you can see. But as far as the clasps of the hands, you can do this now. So you're going to clasp your fingers together just as you normally would and bring your hands together. Release your palms down to your fingers. But the trick here is this pinky on the bottom. You want it to, instead of having that pinky wrapped around, you want that pinky to the inside edge. So I don't know if you can see that, but you want that pinky to the inside edge so that when you set your hands down on the ground, both pinkies are nice and touching the ground, both outside edges. So just hold that for a second out in front of you. And let's inhale as we lift that overhead. And exhale, release back out in front of you. Inhale back overhead. And exhale, release in front. One more time, inhale up overhead. And exhale, release out in front of you. Now this time, inhale as we release, as we lift up overhead. Now stay up. Your arms may not be all the way over your head, that's fine. Just have them as far as you can go without any pain. And now from here, bend your elbows back. And try to keep your elbows in. So as you bend your elbows back, try not to let them flare out. Try to keep them in as you release your hands that are still clasped behind your head. So here we go. This is a position that we're going to come into while we're upside down a couple times in class. So good time to just get used to it here. Now again, keep hugging those elbows in towards each other. Firm those outer upper arms in and see how your shoulders are doing. Are they starting to clasp together? See if you can draw those shoulders down your back to create some space in that shoulder area. Just stay for one more breath here. And exhale, re-straighten those arms. Release the clasp of your fingers and just let your arms come down to the ground in front of you. Okay, we're coming into tabletop, so get there whatever way works for you. Some people like to put their hands in front, roll over their knees. You can also just send your legs out to the side. Just meet me in a tabletop position. So, in a tabletop position, you have your arms underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips, tops of the feet to the ground. Make sure your shoulders are directly over your wrists, and your wrist creases should be lined up with the short edge of your mat, or maybe they're slightly turned out. Just stay for a breath here, and exhale. Now, beginning to wake up the spine, let's add some cat-cows. So, inhale as we drop the navel, send the heart forward, look up, arching our back into cow. Reversing that, rounding the back, hi Oliver, separating the shoulder blades, let the head hang heavy into cat. Reversing that again, inhale, arching the back, send the heart forward, look up. And exhale, round the back, separate the shoulder blades, cat pose. Just do two more times. On your breath, Oliver must have heard me say cat, so here he is, rounding the back into cat. Do one more cow-cat, just on your breath. And then just meet me back into tabletop with a nice neutral spine. In your tabletop, your shoulder blades should be slightly separated. Hug the navel in and up to create a nice neutral spine. We're going to add some arm and leg extensions here. So, start by extending the right arm forward, right palm faces in, and extend the left leg back, hip height. Now, if this is too much for you, you can always release that left leg to the ground. Otherwise, keep that left leg up at hip height. Flexing those left toes so the left toes face directly towards the ground. Stay for a breath here. And exhale, gently release your hand and your knee to the ground. Let's switch sides. So now start by extending the left arm forward, left palm faces in. Extend that right leg, straighten the right leg back. Flex those right toes so they face the ground. Again, drop your foot down if you need to. Otherwise, keep it up at hip height. Keep pressing back through the heel. Lift up through the thigh. One more breath. And exhale, gently release that right knee to the ground. Now we're going to make it a little more dynamic and add some crunches in between. If that's a little too much for you, just do exactly what we did. You can even release that leg to the ground. Otherwise, let's add on to it. So extending the right arm forward, right palm faces in. Send that left leg back. Press back through the left heel. Now inhale into a cow pose. So we're slightly arching the back, raising the right arm up, left arm up. And exhale, now we round and bring the elbow into our knee. So right elbow, left knee. Inhale, extend out into cow, arm and leg are straight. And exhale, round and curl. Two more times. Inhale, extend. And exhale, round. Again, if this is too much, just stay where you were before. Inhale, extend. And exhale, round. And just drop the right hand and left knee back down to the mat. Let's switch to the other side. So extend the left arm forward, left palm faces in. Extend that right leg back, press back through the right heel. Let's inhale as we slightly arch our back into our cow. And exhale, round into cat, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend. And exhale, round. Again, modify just for what works for you. Inhaling, extend. Exhale, round. Just do one more of those. Exhaling as you round, draw elbow to knee, and then just release that arm and release the knee down. Just take a breath here in your nice neutral tabletop pose. Okay, so now we're coming down to our forearms. So take note of right where your wrists are, and now release your elbows right to where your wrists are. So your elbows are coming down directly underneath your shoulders. Palms are pressing down, they're extending out. Those are shoulder width distance as well. Now, remember how we clasped hands when we were sitting down? You're now going to clasp hands while we're on our forearms. So that's where that pinky arrangement comes into play. So again, if you normally just have your pinkies swapped, it's going to be a little less comfortable. So have one of your pinkies come to the inside edge so that they can both comfortably rest on the mat here. Now, as far as your wrist, we're looking for a nice long straight line here. So try not to bend your wrist too much here. So your elbows should still be shoulder width distance, clasping your hands here in our forearm tabletop. And have your shoulders still directly over your elbows. Just stay for a breath here. And exhale. Now, we're going to gently send our hips back towards our heels. Coming into a child's pose, would leave your arms clasped out in front of you. So send your hips back towards your heels, release your forehead to the mat. Be in your child's pose with clasped fingers. Just stay for a breath. And exhale. Again, just see how it feels in your shoulders. Are you starting to crunch up in there? Can you start to breathe into that upper back to create some nice length, drawing the back of the shoulder blades down the back? Just stay for one more breath here in this inversion. And exhale, release. Now, just as we were sitting and we bent our elbows with our hands clasped, we're going to do that now in our child's pose. So keep your forehead on the mat and just gently start to bend the elbows so that the hands come over your head. Maybe the thumbs come back to touch the back of the neck, maybe not. But see if you can just bend to your capacity. But as you bend, keep firm in the upper arms in. That's really going to reinforce the alignment and create some more space in those shoulders. So you're gently pressing the elbows down. You can stay here if you want. You can walk the elbows slightly farther out towards the top of your mat. I can create a little bit more space in the torso. Just stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release the hands down. Keep the arms clasped for a moment and just take a breath in your child's pose. Now, we're going to make this a little more dynamic. So, keeping your arms clasped, you're going to lift your hips up off your heels and come back into that modified tabletop on our forearms. Shift your hips back, come back into that child's pose. Lifting back up, shoulders over elbows, and sending your hips back into child's pose. So we're just making this dynamic. So inhaling up on your breath and exhale, releasing hips back to heels. Again, don't worry if your hips don't touch your heels. We're just making this dynamic. So make it a movement that works for you. Just keep going forward and back. A couple more times on your breath here. Now, we're going to add on to this. So if this works for you, you can just keep doing this. Otherwise, the next option when you're up, you're now going to come up to a tabletop with your arms below your shoulders. And now you're going to send your hips back to your heels, arms out in front. And then on your inhale, lift up, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, send the hips back to the heels, child's pose. Inhale up, shoulders over wrists. And exhale back, hips over heels. Again, just keep going on your breath. We're just warming up the spine, warming up the body, creating a little bit of heat here. Now, if you think like, oh, this isn't enough and you're ready for the next step, the last one here is next time you're in tabletop, you're going to curl the toes under. You're going to lift the hips up, come into a down dog with bent knees. Then you inhale forward into plank, shoulders over wrists. It's like, wow, it just got serious now. So now we're back to down dog, and then shoulders over wrist plank pose. So just do whatever version works for you. You can always switch it up. If you want to come back down to your knees, you can. Yeah, just creating some nice heat in the body, and again, reinforcing to firm those upper arms in. So wherever you are, try to firm those upper arms in. Keep those elbows in. Keep those arms nice and straight. Just do one more here. And now everyone meet on your knees, up back into tabletop with your hands below your shoulders. Just stay for one more breath here in your tabletop. And exhale. Now we're going to come back to a seat for just a moment. If you can, curl your toes under, sit your hips back towards your heels, and lift your torso up. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can have your toes uncurl, sitting your hips back towards your heels. Sometimes people like to even sit on a pillow or extra blocks for a little bit of elevation. Do that if that works for you. Otherwise, if neither of those work for you, just come to a cross-legged seated position. Just going to have a little demo here. So just watch me for a moment. We're, again, in our inversions, and especially what we're working towards this week, our head is going to be below our heart, and we're going to have our arms on the ground, and our hips are going to be up in the air. So this pose we're going to do next is rabbit pose. What this allows us to do is actually get familiar with the sensation of having the crown, the top of our head, on the ground, which is required for a more advanced inversion headstand. So we're just going to get a feel for that now as far as what that feels like in a safe way. So you can just watch me for now. In order to come into that, we'll start in our child's pose with our forehead to the mat. This time our arms are down to our sides. Now from child's pose, I'm going to walk my forehead a little bit closer to my knees so that now instead of my forehead, now basically where my hairline starts is going to be on the mat. So it's a little closer to the knees. With my arms behind me, I'm going to grab onto the backs of my feet, and then I'm going to lift my hips up, and I start to roll onto the top of my head, my arms straighten. So that's the option for you. If you'd like, you can also try with toes curled under. So either way, just see what one works for you. So I'll instruct it again. So either tops of the feet to the ground or toes curled under, come into your child's pose to start. So have your arms come back behind you and grab the bottoms of your feet. So wrap your palms around the bottoms of your feet. Now walk your head in a little bit closer so that your hairline basically is on the mat. And when you're ready, just lift your hips up so you start to roll on the top of the crown of your head. Again, we're looking for the top of the head, not the back, not the forehead, not the hairline, but ultimately the top of the head should be on the mat. Again, don't dump into your shoulders here. It's really easy to shrug your shoulders down. So firm as outer upper arms in and draw the backs of the shoulder blades away from your ears. Just stay for a breath here. And exhale, gently release. Gently lift your forehead up. Come back into tabletop. Have your toes curled under. Lift your hips up and back. Let's come into downward facing dog. It's our first static downward facing dog. You can pedal your feet out if you'd like. Maybe you lift one heel, lift the other. But again, in your downward dog here, you're firming the upper arms in to create a nice length in the full side of each body, from the fingertips down through the tops of the hips. Just stay for one more breath in your down dog. And exhale. Now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk your step to the top of the mat. Now stay in your forward fold, your standing forward fold here at the top of your mat. Have both feet hips width distance and gently press down through the feet. Knees can bend as much as you'd like. You can rest your hands on top of your thighs. Maybe your fingertips or palms come to the ground. Now we'll come into Ragdoll Pose here. So clasp opposite elbows with opposite hands. And just release your head down. So no strain in your head. Just create some nice length in that spine. Especially that cervical spine up near the neck. Draw the shoulders away from the ears so you're not crunching up here. And you can gently sway from side to side if you like, or you can stay in the middle. Just do what works for you. If you're a ragdoll, just keep rocking or staying in the center for just a couple more breaths. And exhale, come back to center. Release the clasp of the elbows. We're coming up to standing, but I'd like you to take your time. So press your feet down into the mat. Spin your inner thighs in and back. And we're gently going to roll up to standing, one vertebrae at a time, starting with the low back. Head is the last thing to arrive. So again, take your time rolling up to standing here. And once you're up to standing, just roll your shoulders up and back a couple times. Yeah, just loosen it out a little bit. Okay, so we're going to work on opening those shoulders a little bit more here. So starting in our mountain pose, feet are hips width distance, heels behind the center toes. Feet are nice and parallel. Again, if you need a little bit of a reminder, what is hips width distance for my feet? Bring both fists together. You can put them either in between your knees or in between your feet. That'll kind of give you a good indication of what's hips width distance. Release your arms down to the sides, palms face forward. That's a slight external rotation here. Just take an inhale and exhale. Now let's inhale as we raise our arms overhead, palms face each other. Urdhva Hastasana pose here. So again, our arms are in external rotation with our palms facing each other. So again, if your shoulders are up and crunching, try to draw the backs of the shoulder blades down the back here to create some nice space in that shoulder area. So to help reinforce that, let's bend our right elbow. So bend that right elbow just as we kind of had before when we were sitting. This time keep your left arm up, but grab that right elbow. And see if you can roll that right shoulder up and back to create some nice length here. And we'll add a little bit of a side lean. So inhale as you lengthen. Exhale, we're going to side lean to our left. So our right arm is up and we're side leaning to our left here. Just go to your capacity. Try to keep both hip points facing forward, your pelvis nice and neutral. Stay for one more breath. And inhale, come back up to center. Release both arms up, palms face each other. This time bend your left elbow so that the palm comes to the back of the neck there. Release the right hand on top of that left elbow. Again, try and open and firm the top of the left arm in. And we'll inhale as we lengthen. And exhale, this time lean to your right. Again, creating some nice length all the way up the torso, in through the shoulder, up to the elbow. One more breath here. And exhale, gently come back to center. Both arms up overhead. Exhale, release both hands down to the center of your chest and down to your sides. Just take a couple deep breaths here. Make sure you're at the top of your mat in your mountain pose with your arms down to your sides, palms face forward. Take an inhale and exhale. One more inhale and exhale. Now let's inhale the arms up overhead, palms touched. We've seen this. Maybe gently look up. Now exhale, we're going to bend the knees, hinge forward, come into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins. Now nice flat back, slight tuck of the chin. Exhale, rebend the knees, forward fold. Coming back up to standing, press your feet into the mat. Inhale, lift your arms out and up, overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest. We're going to add on to that now. Inhale, arms up, overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine parallel to the mat. And exhale, forward fold again. Now this time place both hands onto the mat. Step your right leg back. Step your left leg back. We're in our plank pose here. Now hold plank just for a moment here. And now we're going to drop to our knees. Now walk your knees a little bit closer. So you're walking your knees a little bit closer, but not quite underneath your hips. Now we're coming into a variation of Vashisthasana side plank. So starting with your left foot, kickstand it out to the left and bring your toes to the ground. So that left foot comes out to the left to the edge of your mat, and then the left toes come down, just like a kickstand. Now extend the right leg back, press that right heel back, and then drop the right heel down so that the whole foot comes to the ground. Now make sure this left hand is underneath your left shoulder. Press down through that right foot, and then lift and turn and raise those right fingertips up to the sky. See if you can stack the right shoulder on top of the left here. Now you're balancing between 3 to 4 points on the ground. You can stay here, or if you'd like, shift a little bit of the weight forward and lift that right leg up to hip height. Press back through that right heel. Either way, you're staying here, or you have that right foot nice and planted. Just stay for a couple more breaths. Again, open up those shoulder blades. Draw the backs of the shoulder blades down your back. You have a slight back bend here. One more breath. Exhale, everyone, release that right foot to the mat. Release the right arm down to the mat. Right knee comes down to meet the left. And have that left foot come back in. We're back in our tabletop here. Let's switch to the other side. So begin by kickstanding that right leg out to the right side of your mat. Curl the toes under, extend that left leg back. Drop the left heel down, placing that left foot on the mat. Make sure that right arm is underneath the right shoulder. And then when you're ready, inhale, lift and open up the chest. The left fingertips come to the ceiling. Again, draw the backs of the shoulder blades down your back, broaden those collarbones. Staying here, or if you'd like, you can lift that left leg up to hip height, pressing that left heel back, flexing the left toes. Staying for one more breath wherever you are. And exhale, gently release that left foot back down. Release the left arm to meet the right arm, and then meet me back in your tabletop. Now walk those knees back out away from the hands, so that the knees are farther back from your waist. Keep the toes curled under for a moment here. Now we're going to shift our torso forward, bend the elbows back, and lower our entire torso all the way to the mat, so everything comes down at once. Uncurl the back toes, press the tops of the feet into the mat, press the hips into the mat. Inhale, lift your head up and your chest up into your baby cobra. Try to keep the bottom ribs on the mat. Again, draw the backs of the shoulder blades together. You don't want your shoulders to crunch up here, so draw them back. Stay for one more breath as you send your heart forward. And exhale, gently release the forehead to the mat. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up into your tabletop. And then lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. If you ever need to, if downward facing dog is too much, you can just drop to your knees. We'll be in downward dog just for 2 more breaths here. Keep pressing down to the base of each finger and each palm, lifting the forearms up off the mat. 1 more breath. And now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out and up, overhead, palms touch. And exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Just take a moment to catch your breath here. And exhale. All right, time to keep moving. Inhale, arms up, overhead, palms touch. And exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back, parallel to the mat. Bend the knees, exhale, forward fold. Plant both hands to the ground. Keep your left leg forward. Let's extend that right leg back. Now, so the left leg is forward, right leg is back, right knee is in the air. Make sure the left foot is on the left side of the mat, right foot is on the right side of the mat. Now, just like we dropped our back heel down to the ground, we're going to do that same thing this time. So we're going to drop our right heel down. Now send those right toes a little bit closer up towards the top of your mat so that the toes are closer and the heel's a little bit farther back. We're coming into our warrior 2 feet here. Now you're going to heel toe this front foot to the center of your mat. Basically, you want the heel of the front foot, if you draw a line, to intersect with the arch of the back foot. So make sure you have that alignment. Bring the left arm to the inside edge of that left foot. This is where if you use a block, you may put a block underneath your left hand. Either way, press down to the back edge of that right foot. Keep this left knee bent, tracking over this left ankle. And then when you're ready on your inhale, raise that right arm up, right fingertips come to the ceiling, and you're opening that chest out again. Press that upper left arm into that left knee and press the left knee back into that arm. Stay for 1 more breath here. And exhale from your side angle. Release that right arm down. Left arm comes outside that left foot. Come back up on that right heel. Send that left foot to meet the back foot. You're in your plank pose again. Drop the knees to the ground. Shift your torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes, lift your hips up. Lift your chest up and your sternum up. Send the heart forward in your back bend. Draw the backs of your shoulder blades together. You're in your baby cobra. 1 more breath here. Exhale, gently release the forehead to the mat. Curl the toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Now stay in your tabletop here. This time, send your right leg forward so that the right knee is now right over that right ankle. And now curl the left toes under, lift that left knee up. We're coming to our side angle on the other side here. So now drop that left heel down. Make sure the left toes are slightly forward than the left heel. You may need to heel toe this right foot over so you have heel to arch alignment. And once you have that, release the right arm to the inside edge of that right foot. Press down through the back edge of that left foot and then lift that left arm up to the sky. Left toes face the sky. If this is too much, you can always just leave that left hand on the low back. The idea here is to stack the shoulders, broadening those collarbones, drawing the backs of the shoulder blades down. Stay for one more breath here. And exhale, gently release the left arm down. Right arm comes to the outside edge of that right foot. Back up on your left heel. Send that right foot to meet the back foot. You're in your plank pose. Drop to your knees. Shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Press your hips and the tops of the feet into the mat. On your next inhale, lift your head up and your chest up into your baby cobra. Maybe start to straighten your arms halfway or full into your full cobra. Do whatever back bend works for you. Either way, you're hugging those ankles in towards each other. Stay for one more breath. And gently exhale as you bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Curl those toes under. Press yourself up through tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Just stay in your downward facing dog for 2 more breaths here. Hands should be shoulder width distance, feet are hips width distance. 1 more breath. Now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees, exhale, walker step to the top of the mat, feet or hips width distance. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out and up, overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Just take a couple deep breaths here in your mountain pose. One more breath. Now this time bring your feet together so that the toes touch and your ankles, your heels are maybe an inch or 2 apart. Arms are down to the sides, palms face forward. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. We're coming into a chair pose. So we're going to bend the knees, send the hips back, arms come forward, palms face each other. See if you can get your biceps next to your ears without arching your back. So we still want a nice neutral spine. Maybe sit a little bit lower in your chair pose. Make sure you can gaze down and see your toes. If not, shift your hips back. You want more of the weight into your heels, less than your toes. 1 more breath. And exhale, gently hinge forward into your forward fold with your feet together. Inhale, halfway lift, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Place your palms on the mat. Step your right foot back. Step your left foot back into plank. Let's shift the torso forward, lower the knees to the mat, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the ground. Uncurl the back toes. Inhale into your back bend of choice, baby, half, or full cobra. Keep drawing the back to the shoulder blades. Broaden those collarbones wherever you are. Stay for 1 more breath. And exhale, gently release the forehead to the mat. Curl the back toes under. Press yourself up through tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Now from here, we're going to lift our right leg up and back to hip height. We've lifted our leg before. We're going to press that right heel back. Keep your pelvis neutral. Now keep this right leg up at hip height. We're going to shift our torso forward so the shoulders are over the wrists. We're in our plank pose with that right leg lifted. Send your hips up and back into downward dog with the leg lifted. Inhale forward, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, push back into down dog, leg lifted. Inhale, shoulders over wrists. And exhale, press back into down dog with that leg lifted. This time, bend your right knee into your chest. Shift the torso forward, shoulders over wrists, and then release that right foot to the top of the mat. Now, we're in our high lunge here, but make sure your right foot is on the right side of the mat. The left foot is on the left side of the mat. Press down through both feet and lift your arms forward and up. Come into your Anjaneyasana. Arms overhead, palms face each other. Again, we're wrapping these triceps in, firm these outer upper arms in. The palms face each other. Maybe the palms even start to turn back. Nice long arms. That back leg, you can have a slight bend in that back left knee. Try to keep that right knee tracking over the right ankle in our high lunge here. Staying for one more breath. And exhale. Now release the arms forward, release the torso forward. Both palms come to the ground. Now send that right leg back to meet the back. When we're in our plank, we're dropping to our knees, shift the torso forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes, lift your head up and your chest up into your baby, full or half cobra. Either way, you're sending the heart forward, drawing the backs of the shoulder blades down the back. One more breath. And exhale, gently release the forehead to the mat. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up through tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Just stay for a breath here in down dog. Another inversion. And exhale, we're going to release our knees down to the mat. Uncurl the toes and press yourself back into child's pose. Just take a rest here, finding your breath. And your child's pose. Now on your next inhale with your arms forward, lift yourself up. Lift your hips up over your heel, and let's come back into that forearm tabletop with our hands clasped that we had before. So we were here before. Again, remember when you clasp your fingers, have that one pinky inside so that both pinkies can equally press down into the mat. So we're in our tabletop, so our hips are starting over our heels, and our shoulders are over our elbows. Make sure these wrists are nice and parallel with your forearms. And you're gently pressing down through the forearms and the fingers. We're coming into a modified Dolphin pose, which is really a headstand prep. So if you're okay right here, you can stay here. Otherwise, if you're coming with me, we're going to add on to this. So begin by extending the right leg back. Press the right heel back, toes curled under. Curl the left toes under, extend the left toes back. We're in our forearm plank. Now stay here for a breath. And now we're gently going to walk our feet closer to our elbows. But as you walk your feet closer, try to maintain your shoulders over your elbows. So you're walking in maybe a foot or two, a little bit closer. You can have a slight bend in the knees if the hamstrings are still tight. Just take a breath here. And exhale. Now you want the head to hang nice and heavy, so no tension in the neck. The head does not touch the ground, but it does hang heavy. And again, try not to dump into your shoulders, so you're still drawing the backs of the shoulder blades up the back. Press the forearms and the outer edges of the wrist down, rebounding up, lifting the hips up in the air. Staying for one more breath. And exhale, gently release your knees down to the mat. Uncurl those back toes. Press your hips back, release your arms, forehead to the mat. And release your arms down to your feet. Let your shoulders fall, let your arms fall. Just stay in your child's pose for a moment. And again, just notice how that felt. Did you feel like your shoulders were crunching? Were you able to open up? So you remember to firm your outer upper arms in to create some nice space there. That pose is really one of the best prep poses for the headstand, which is what we'll be working towards on Friday. So the more comfortable you get in that pose, the safer you are to advance in your inversions. So we're going to have the opportunity to try that one more time with the option of lifting our legs. That gives us a little more of a deeper inversion feeling. So just do what works for you. If you're just more comfortable today staying in your tabletop down on your forearms, just stay there. If you want to come into your dolphin again, great. And if you want to lift your legs up in the air, that's another option. So from your child's pose, release your arms forward. Lift your hips up over your heels. Clasp those hands together. This time try clasping with the opposite fingers on top so that that opposite pinky is on the inside edge. So, both pinkies come to the ground. You're clasping your hands. It may feel a little different, but that's fine. We're all about balance here in yoga, so we got to try both sides. Least habitual grip here. So again, we have our elbows directly under our shoulders, and our hips are starting over our knees. So you're either staying here, or if you're coming with me, you're going to curl the right toe back, extend the right leg, straighten the right leg, curl the left toes, extend the left leg back, start in your forearm plank, and then begin to walk your feet in closer whilst keeping your shoulders over your elbows. Again, you can have a slight bend in the knees if you'd like, coming into this dolphin headstand prep. But again, press down through the outer edges of the wrists and the forearms and rebound up and lift through the shoulders, lifting the shoulders away from the ears, drawing the shoulder blades into the back and down the back up towards the tailbone, pressing the heels back, spinning the inner thighs in and back. You can either stay here, or if you'd like, maybe lift the right leg up in the air. Keep the pelvis neutral. Just lift it up as high as you can without turning your leg out, so the toes are still flexed, facing down towards the mat. And then you gently release that right leg to the mat. Let's switch to the left leg. Inhale as you lift that left leg up. Keep those left toes flexed so they face down towards the mat. Press up through that left heel. And keep creating space in the shoulders. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, release the left leg down. Everyone drop to your knees. Release the clasp of your hands. Uncurl those back toes. Send your hips to your heels into your child's pose. Forehead to the mat or a block. Just stay for a couple breaths in your child's pose. Again, a lot of things with the inversions are we're working on our chest, our upper body strength, opening our shoulders, creating that awareness there. But really, what you need more than anything when working on inversions is patience. And the more awareness you have, the more you kind of realize where you are in your practice and what you're capable of. Maybe one day you're ready to advance. Another day you're just like, I'm going to hang back a little bit and just focus on my fundamentals. And so just take this opportunity to quickly reflect on how you felt during practice and how you feel right now. Just take one more deep breath in your child's pose. And exhale. Now raise your forehead up, begin to walk your hands back, lift your hips up off your heels, and send your legs around. We're coming back, sitting on our sit bones with our legs out in front of us. Now with your legs out in front of you, release your hands back behind you with the fingertips facing forward. So palms are to the ground. Fingertips are maybe an inch or two behind your sit bones. Now feet and knees are hips width distance. And we're coming into a reverse tabletop here. So we're going to press the feet and the palms in. Again, firm those upper arms in. And on your inhale, lift your pelvis up. Lift your chest up. See if you can get your thighs parallel to the mat. Your head can either look up at the ceiling, or you can gently let it hang back. Keep spinning those inner thighs in and down to keep the knees hips width distance. One more breath. And exhale, gently release back down to the mat. And now walk your feet forward, send your hips forward. We're going to lower onto our back. So you can gently hold onto your shins or your thighs, or you can challenge yourself one more time with your arms forward. Just gently roll onto your back and take your time. Once you're on your back, walk your feet back towards your heels, and then separate your feet out to the width of the mat. Let your feet fall into touch, arms down to the side, and let's gently let the knees rock from side to side. So your feet are at the width of the mat, they stay there. Knees touch in the middle, and then you let them gently rock from side to side. And gently let your knees come back to center with touching. Heel toe your feet back in the hips width distance. Separate your knees in the hips width distance. And then gently draw both knees into your chest. And give a gentle squeeze with your arms either around your shins or your thighs. Keep that gentle squeeze. Keep the right knee into your chest. Let's extend the left leg forward. Release that left heel to the ground. Flexing both toes, drawing the right knee in towards that right shoulder. Pressing out through that left heel away from your body. It's a nice little stretch here. Now you're staying in this. Release the right knee just slightly. So the right knee points up towards the ceiling. And now you're turning onto your left side as you let your right knee come off and fall down to your left. So you're going to let your right knee come over your body and fall down. You're on your left side here. Turn and open that right arm out to a T, right palm faces up. You can keep this left arm to the top of that right knee, or you can send it out to a T as well with the palm facing up. You can try and keep this right shoulder on the ground. You can turn your neck either up at the ceiling or looking over those right fingertips. Just stay for a couple breaths here in our deep spinal twist. Just one more breath. And exhale. Gently release back up to center. Knee comes back up. Draw the right knee into your chest. Draw the left knee into your chest. And now this time, keep the left knee in as you extend the right leg forward this time. And now right heel comes to the mat. You're flexing both toes. And now you're gently going to fall off onto the right side of your body. Left knee comes over. Left knee comes down towards the ground. Doesn't need to touch. Both arms can come out, palms face up, or you can keep that right hand on that left knee. Maybe you keep that left shoulder on the mat. Gazes up towards the ceiling or over those left fingertips. Just stay for a couple breaths here. One more breath. And inhale as you release and come back to center. Just re-shift yourself, hug both knees back into your chest for one last little squeeze here. Hug those knees in, maybe your shoulders and your head comes off the ground as you squeeze one last time here. And exhale, extend your legs forward, extend your arms overhead. Fingertips stretch away. Point your toes away from your body. One last full body stretch here. And exhale, gently release those arms down to your sides, palms face up. Let your knees and your feet fall off to the side. Coming into our final pose of the evening here, our Shavasana pose. Shavasana is a time to relax and release any bit of tension in your body or any tension in your mind. Release the focus on your breath, just let it be. Just let your mind be still as your gaze softens or your eyes close completely. Just let your whole body hang heavy and melt into the mat here. begin to bring some awareness back into your body. Maybe you wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can rotate your wrists and your ankles. And switch directions in those rotations. And come back to stillness for one last breath here. Gently begin to slightly bend your knees as you roll over to one side of your body. Rolling over to one side, your top arm comes across to meet your bottom, and your top knee gently lies on top of your bottom knee. Just stay for a breath here on your side. Try to keep your gaze softened or your eyes closed as you use your top arm to press yourself up into a cross-legged, comfortable seat to complete our practice together today. Once you're in your cross-legged seat, your palms can come to the top of your knees, palms can face up, or you can bring your palms into the center of your chest. Let's take one big inhale together and exhale. Thank you for joining me in practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. Thank you again so much for joining me in practice today. I know this was a little bit of a tougher level 1 class, but a lot of the inversions we work towards really require some awareness and strength and mobility in our body in order to safely come into the poses. And so don't feel too discouraged if you had any trouble today. We'll have another chance in Friday, our level 2 class, to ramp it up a little bit and again reinforce some of the key concepts for our inversions. But great job for getting through class today. I hope you feel great. This was a nice, challenging level 1 class. If you ever have any questions, you can always email me. You can leave a comment in the chat or a comment on the video. Again, my name is Daniel Lee with Daniel Lee Yoga. All the contact info you can find in the video description, as well as the donation link as well. Some of you have told me that you've been donating to Movable Feast, and I really appreciate that. They're a wonderful cause, so thank you so much for that. I just thank you for joining me in class today. So again, the next one will be Friday at 7 p.m. We'll build off of this. We'll go into a little bit more of advanced inversions. We'll ramp it up a little bit, but we'll do it in a safe, comfortable, gentle way. So I hope you are feeling great. Take how you feel into the rest of your week. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next time in practice. Thank you again. Peace.